This video will be a little different from my last ones in the sense that it's actually serious, so let's get right into it. In the last 5 years, the Growtopia economy has grown, changed, and has been shaped to form what we know as modern-day Growtopia. While economics in general is a very complicated subject, I find that the Growtopia economy is small enough to be somewhat predictable, and big enough to have some potential changes to predict. It is true that the Growtopia economy has always been changing, but I believe its economy is approaching a new era at best, and some noticeable changes at worst. While the price of most things can be valued using the world lock, the item that we will be discussing today is the world lock itself. So let's have a little economic background on the world lock, shall we? The world lock plays an impressively important role in the economy of Growtopia, since it's the currency used not only by player-to-player interactions, but player-to-environment interactions as well. So what does this mean? This means that the world lock has gotten so much recognition by the community that the developers of the game also began recognizing it as a valid in-game currency. This is why I believe that any potential change regarding the value of the world lock is important, and that is the reason I made this video. For a very long time now, the world lock has been consistently inflating, meaning its value has been dropping, meaning you can buy less things with the same amount of world locks. While in a country such as the US, consistent inflation is encouraged, but it seems like the developers of Growtopia don't encourage this. So why has the world lock been inflating though? Well, let's backtrack. When something loses value, you can conclude that it lost some demand, and loss of demand in this case is a sign of increased supply, meaning that the ratio of players to world locks is decreasing, most likely due to players buying many world locks from the store. In order to stop the inflation of the world lock, I noticed that the developers started including more aspects of the game where players can trade world locks for items, like carnival, lock, etc., which didn't seem to work very well, or at least didn't have the impact that they were expecting. But after realizing how reliant the influx of world locks is on the store, they changed their focus onto something else: gems. In simple terms, they saw that the people are buying too many world locks from the store for 2,000 gems, so they want to stop that somehow. If the developers were able to increase the value of gems, then the world lock's value would inadvertently also increase, since 2,000 gems now would be different than 2,000 gems earlier, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. With the introduction of guilds, NPC vendors, and roles, gems now have more versatility, and people will spend more of them on said things, meaning less of them will be spent on world locks, and you can guess what happens from there. My prediction, and feel free to quote me on this, is that Ubisoft will continue to make the value of the gem increase, most likely to compel people to buy more gems. And as a result of this, I predict that the value of the world lock will start to rise 2 weeks to a month after Harvest Fest. This can be noticed by a decrease in price of almost all items in the game. So what does this mean for the player? This means that the financially smart move is to start hoarding your world locks, and to use them when the value of the world lock stabilizes. I will now discuss the true intention of this video. These predictions are just that, predictions, albeit based on some pretty solid patterns, but nonetheless, predictions. If though enough people look into these predictions and act on them, they will become a self-fulfilling prophecy, whether or not what I predicted would have actually happened. This would be due to the fact that world locks would now be hoarded, and that would create a bubble, increasing the value of the world lock, just like what's happening with Bitcoin. Right now, I'm banking on the idea that people are greedy and want more world locks, and you should too. This phenomenon will provide a chance for the smart Growtopians to shine, rather than the lucky ones. So spread the word and start hoarding.